Record deal in sports history. Juan Soto is off the board with the winter meetings underway. There are more names that have dropped. Who's available, who's been signed, who's been traded, who's been moved. We've got winter meetings down in Dallas. Jim Salisbury joins us from Dallas with updates and much more to talk about the Phillies, Dick Allen, and more today here on PHLY Phillies podcast. Coming up now. Juan Soto got paid. He is linked into having the largest ever sports contract in the history of all things sports, guys. We're talking about the deal with the New York Mets. Welcome into PHLY Phillies podcast. We've got Tyler Zulli, Jamie Lynch, myself, Renee Washington. Today on this Monday, it is time to get deeper into the winter meetings. We've got lots of talk around the Phillies, the exciting news around Dick Allen, and also going to just share updates around the latest with winter meetings. So without further ado, let's jump right into Dallas, Texas. We've got Jim Salisbury joining us from Dallas from the winter meetings. We've got boots on the ground. Jim, happy Monday. It's been a crazy day one yesterday. Of course, the biggest news was Juan Soto, but other names such as a Tyler O'Neill and other guys that were off the board as well. And we heard roster acquisitions pick up. What's the latest going on around winter meetings after day one that you can fill us in on?
Yeah, everything right now is sort of dealing with that tidal wave that came down last night of Juan Soto getting that $765 million from the New York Mets. It's in the Phillies universe. It matters because they're going to see him a lot. He's back in the National League East where he was with Washington, and he's going to be trouble. But in terms of the industry itself, his signing, will break a logjam, and you'll see a lot more activity now starting to happen because you got teams that were in on Juan Soto, the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Dodgers. Now they have a fistful of money. They can go to work filling other needs and allocating those funds elsewhere. And a team like the Phillies, they need to get moving here because they have holes to fill. 95-win team, good team. But need to get better and cure some of these early October exits. Need outfield help, need more production in the outfield, need a big arm at the back of the bullpen, starting pitching depth, all of those areas that they are looking to shore up, that they've been hard at work at for a while now. But I think you could see some things come to a head here in the winter meetings because traditionally that's how things happen. When a big fish like a Juan Soto is reeled in, it sort of opens things up for a lot of other teams to pull in what they're looking for.
So, Jim, I have a picture of the MLB winter meetings in my mind, but it might not be rooted in any reality. Can you give people a little bit of a picture of what this is like this week? We've seen pictures of the lobby and all that, but teams, presidents, GMs have suites. Are teams going in and out of each other's suites? Is there constant conversations? What's kind of the purview or the 30,000-foot view of what happens here this week in Dallas?
Yeah, a lot of it doesn't really happen out in the open, and a lot of it is just a continuation of really what goes on probably from the trade deadline on. These guys can communicate nowadays with a text, with a quick phone call, with a video call. It's not like the old days where, they needed the winter meetings to kind of facilitate communication, get everybody in front of each other.
Sure.
Just the way the world has evolved. It's a big baseball convention with a holiday backdrop. Basically everybody in baseball is here. You have the minor leagues are here, minor league teams and officials, major league teams and officials, agents, reporters. And there's a trade show where anybody who runs a business that is in any way affiliated with baseball, they're at Convention
Sure.
Hall. Even people who sell hot dogs and popcorn to minor league stadiums, they're here showing their wares. So a giant convention. But obviously the focus is the big league teams and roster constructions and wheeling and dealing. But, it's not like when Bill Veeck and Jack McKeon, Jack McKeon famously once set up a table in the middle when I think it was with the Padres GM. He set up a table in the lobby with a sign that said "Open for business, ready to trade." Everything is done behind closed doors
Sure.
and behind the scenes. Every team has a suite. For lack of more of a colloquial description, a war room. There's a whiteboard.
Mm-hmm.
It's just basically an extension of their executive offices back in their respective stadiums, and they come here and they continue conversations that they've had for months, but they're not happening in the wide open. I guess there was once a day where, the hotel bar late at night would become the scene where a lot of scouts would hang out and swap stories and swap rumors, and reporters would try to dig for info. But I think those days are even dwindled a little bit. Not as many scouts. Teams don't employ as many scouts anymore. There's not as many scouts at this event. Front offices are very insular, and they keep to themselves. And but there's a lot of action going on in the suites. But you want to talk to somebody, you call them on the phone, you meet them in the hallway, you meet them in your suite, you pound out a deal. That's the way it happens. And then every team is pretty much obligated to daily give a press briefing on what is happening. And, some GMs are more open than others. The Phillies, Dave Dombrowski, typically pretty close to the vest. But, it's like a big puzzle. You're always just trying to piece it together, but it's not like, stories just walk down the middle of the hallway
Sure.
and tap you on the shoulder. These guys they're off out of view, and it's just, just got to kind of follow your nose and keep your eye on things and see where it goes.
Yeah, it is interesting, Jim, as you talk about kind of the evolution of the winter meetings, especially with more conversations happening prior and all the different reports that we were constantly hearing. So now that one of the biggest pieces in Juan Soto is off the board with that $765 million 15-year deal, historic. Happy for him, he got the bag. But unfortunately, he is back in the NL East. And I know we've already had people asking, what are the Phillies doing? What does this mean for them? And there have been some names. Roki Sasaki, for example, has been posted today. So he has until January 23rd to get signed. I know the Phillies were one of the many teams linked to him. Garrett Crochet is expected to be traded during the winter meetings. Looking at the starting pitching market specifically, because that is an area the Phillies are targeting for that fifth starter. Have you heard anything, or is there anything that you can tell the people to stop hitting the panic button? Because it is only day 2 of the winter meetings, and there are some names the Phillies have been linked to.
Well, I wouldn't hit the panic button. They did win 95 games last year. They have a pretty good foundation. Yeah, they have some needs. They have some holes, but I'm expecting a few guys to be better next year. Bryson Stott, I think Trey Turner is going to be better. So I don't know why anybody would panic, but I do acknowledge they have some holes to fill. They need to bring in some more talent because, Dave Dombrowski said it's about playing well at the right time. And I know, people hear that and they go a little crazy. Well, but he's right. It is about playing well at the right time, but you can improve your chances of playing well at the right time if you address some weaknesses. Maybe you get a little more productive in the lineup, a little less swing and miss. Maybe you cut down on some strikeouts. That can be done externally and internally, as I mentioned, with potential improvement. But yeah, I think they would. I know they're on record as saying they would like to do something in the starting rotation. I think it's imperative they bring in some back-end depth, some second half of the rotation depth that can help plug the hole until Andrew Painter is here. But, even beyond that, we saw how much, Rangers' ineffectiveness last year and the injuries to Turnbull and Walker's ineffectiveness, it really hurt them at the back end of the rotation. So I think they would like to bring in a number 5 starter or number 4 starter, something like that, to give them some depth. But if the opportunity to add an elite starter comes along, they're going to investigate it. They're open-minded to everything. They have an obligation to investigate it. And Dave Dombrowski's a guy who loves pitching, loves power pitching. The Garrett Crochet stuff in July was real. They made an offer, an attractive offer. I hear for some young players that some people think the White Sox should have taken, but they didn't. I don't know that offer is going to be there again now. But I'll tell you what, they'll keep an eye on Garrett Crochet, and if the opportunity is right to seize it, they'll go for an elite arm there, as opposed to just rotation depth. But the White Sox are still setting a very high price in prospects, but I'm sure it's something the Phillies are going to look at because they've had past interest in the guy. As far as Sasaki, everything I hear is San Diego, San Diego, San Diego. We've talked about this in the past. They made a run at Yamamoto last year. I could see them making a run at Sasaki. It's hard for me to see a connection to Philadelphia. At this time, is they just don't have a big history with Japanese players. But everything I hear is West Coast, in particular San Diego on Sasaki. But he's awfully good. You have an obligation to investigate everything and see what happens, just like they did last year with Yamamoto.
So, Jim, for diehards right now, you have a piece up from last night, and part of the winter meetings was the great Dick Allen finally, unfortunately, after his death, gets enshrined in Cooperstown. But nonetheless, he's in. Baseball justice has been served, in your opinion. There's a great story up to read about it. But tell us about that experience last night, getting to see his son kind of rejoice there.
That's kind of, I think, what it's all about at this point. It means so much to the family that their loved one got in, and it was so much deserved, so richly deserved right from the time he was on the players' ballot. It didn't happen, and there were a lot of reasons it didn't happen. A lot of them were unfair. People held things against him, but with the passage of time, I think we're all more open-minded to it. I think the entire world is more open-minded to some of the difficult challenges that Dick Allen faced, and maybe some of the reasons that he was perceived as a behavior problem. And I think people and the writers people around baseball held that against him, and that it affected his candidacy on the writers' ballot. And then he goes on these veteran committees that they have, and he misses by one vote in 2014. He misses by one vote in 2011. Like you said, right has been wronged. This is richly deserved. I'm very happy for the people who have championed his cause over the years. You look at what John Middleton has done. He made it, a personal mission to get this guy into the Hall of Fame because, long before John Middleton owned the Phillies, he was a Phillies fan, and he credits Dick Allen with igniting his fandom as a young kid growing up in the Philadelphia suburbs. So I'm just really happy for a lot of people, Phillies fans, Phillies ownership, his family. I wish you got to see it. He passed away 4 years ago. Got to know him a little bit. He was a great guy. He'd crush your hand with those big hands of his when he shook your hand. But, I mean, the numbers are indisputable, guys. There's no, official rules for voting. There are guidelines, things they want you to consider. But, one of the big rules of thumb people use, I think, is, how was the guy in his era? Where did he rank in his era? Did he dominate his era? And it's indisputable from 64 to 74, 11 years, Dick Allen was a dominant force right there with Willie Mays, right there with Hank Aaron. He was from 64 to 74, second in slugging percentage to Hank Aaron, second in OPS to Hank Aaron, third in extra base hits to Billy Williams and Hank Aaron. OPS plus OPS, number one, if you use those metrics. Unbelievable 1964 season, an MVP in 72. Great rookie of the year season in 64 as a 22-year-old for the Phillies. Just a slugger who did fascinating and things on the field, hit prodigious home runs at Connie Mack Stadium. This is really richly deserved. For many, many years, he was considered like the guy that, kind of that baseball expression, out by a step. He was always considered the guy that was just out by a step of the Hall of Fame. Well, now he's in there, and it's great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Exciting news to see that after a tremendous 15-year career, including, as you were talking about some of the numbers, 6 seasons with more than 30 home runs. Also, as you mentioned, of where he ranks compared to like a Hank Aaron, one of the best in a number of metrics. And so well-deserved from that 1964 Rookie of the Year to then all the way having MVP and all the accolades he was able to rack up that it's well-deserved that Dick Allen is now going to be honored after he passed away December 7th, 2020. So as you're mentioning, the winter meetings are about more than just the hot stove, the breaking news, the updates. There are other things going on around it as well, just in the world of baseball, the excitement. So I'm curious, before we let you get ready to get on your day, what is in store for today, Jim? What's kind of the expectations people can have? We know you're pumping out pieces, you're in different conversations. What can we kind of expect that you are going to be doing and checking out today?
Well, focus here for me is Phillies, and I think that's the focus that people want to hear about who watch this show. It's what you guys talk about on a daily basis. People are interested in how they're going to take this 95 win team that has been to the playoffs 3 years in a row, but seen their stints in the postseason get shorter and shorter. How they're going to bridge that gap. And as I mentioned, looking for more production in the outfield, looking for some starting pitching depth, looking for a big arm at the back of the bullpen. So that's kind of what I'll be focused on, how the Phillies are doing in those quests. And that's what the Phillies are focused on behind closed doors in their suite and their conversations, both on the phone and in person with other teams. And, with the logjam breaking here and things quickening a little bit, and some players that I think the Phillies were interested in and would have helped the Phillies. Tyler O'Neill, outfielder, right-handed hitting outfielder, power bat, really kills left-handed pitching. He's a guy I would have been interested in for left field. Yeah. He goes off the board in Baltimore. A couple arms that, Clay Holmes, I think he's going to start for the Mets. Mm-hmm. I think the Phillies had some interest in him as a bullpen guy, off the board. Blake Trinan, another guy I think interested in the Phillies. Late game, power arm, off the board, returns to the Dodgers. Not a surprise, but I think those would have been good fits for the Phillies. So even beyond Soto, things are starting to move where I think it could facilitate something for the Phillies. They have stressed that they want to be open-minded. That's why, you have to keep your eye on all possibilities. Sometimes you never know what's going to come down the road. We hear a lot, I think they could be active on the trade front for some back-end bullpen help. It's very clear, we've talked about this a lot, that Alec Bohm would be a piece that's available in the right deal. But I think they could also go deeper than that, listen on some of their prospects. I think we've talked about untouchables, Andrew Painter being one, Aiden Miller being a guy they want to, be very protective of. But, I'm not sure they wouldn't listen on the right deal on a guy like that. But, we'll see. There's just a lot of balls in the air. Dave Dombrowski typically plays things very close to the vest, as most organizations do. But he will have a press briefing later in the day, probably close to 5 o'clock Eastern time. And, see what can be gleaned out of that.
So, Jim, last one for you. Left field, obviously a big need. Back end of the bullpen, probably a big need with Estevez and Hoffman being free agents. If you had to prioritize the two, which do you think the Phillies are kind of putting first here? Is there an order to this? Is the reliever free agent market going to heat up quicker than maybe a trade or outfield market? Do you see kind of a pecking order here?
I don't know that there's a pecking order or priority because I think they need both. And I think when the right fit is there, you gotta pounce on it. I think they're going to come away with help in both areas this offseason. They need to come away with help in both areas offseason. So if they come down the pipe together, I think they'll jump on them. If they come down, one before the other, you got to be ready to pounce on either one because they need both.
Yep.
Yeah, let's hope that the Phillies are able to figure that out and make those moves happen to be able to get some left field help, some reliever help, and continue to add to the holes in the areas of weaknesses that they're looking to improve upon. But Jim, we appreciate you so much for carving out time this Monday morning to update us on the winter meetings. Of course, as Jamie mentioned, pumping out some great pieces and going to continue to cover and stay up to date on all things happening with the Phillies at the winter meeting. So thank you for all that you're doing and keep up the great work.
My pleasure, guys. Have a great day. We'll be chatting with you tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you, Jim. Jim will be back tomorrow to continue to update us on the winter meetings. We'll be having him continuously updating us as the day even goes on. He'll be dropping an article. You can check that out on allphly.com. It's exciting times right now because the winter meetings, outside of even just Juan Soto's massive $765 million 15-year contract, there have been other moves that have been made. So we've got some updates to get into. But first, let's handle some business here at PHLY. Let me tell you guys about where you can go to stay healthy this time of year. I keep hearing from a number of people they're dealing with colds and they're dealing with different types of colds, I should even say. You want to make sure you're staying proactive to protect you and your family, and you can do that right over at Rite Aid. Rite Aid has a ton of benefits for you from their My Pharmacy services of their My Pharmacy account you can set up to get all your prescriptions refilled, schedule vaccines, get personalized care recommendations, and be able to have everything right there on your phone, on your account with your My Pharmacy account. They also have great options for you around vaccines in general, because this time of year, they are recommending from the CDC that you get vaccinated. If you are 50 and older, the age used to be 65 and older, but now 50 and older, they recommend you get the pneumonia vaccine. They also recommend everyone get the flu vaccine annually as well, because of just the way our bodies are constantly changing and evolving. You want to make sure you're staying ahead of the flu. Not to mention, according to the CDC, getting a flu vaccine for children does also drastically decrease their chances of getting any severe life-threatening cases of the flu by 75%. So what makes it even better is over at Rite Aid, it's convenient. It is so challenging to schedule a doctor's appointment. I can say firsthand from experience. But with Rite Aid, they make it simpler. You can either schedule online or you can walk right in same day and walk right out with that vaccine. So in addition to all the great convenience they provide of anything you may need, over-the-counter medications, allergy medications, holiday and seasonal items, last-minute gift wrap, and things like that, they also have the vaccines that are conveniently there for you to be able to walk in at any time to get done. So if you are ever concerned and unsure of where to go or which vaccines you need, or what to do, don't worry. They've got pharmacists that are right there ready to help you out, because getting vaccinated is easy. You can just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule online at riteaid.com. And again, if you're unsure of which vaccines you may need, which ones your kids may need, just ask your pharmacist for a personal recommendation. So stop by your local Rite Aid today to make sure you can stay proactive and stay healthy this holiday season.
And let me tell you about our friends at TrueMark Financial. TrueMark is rooted right here in the Delaware Valley. They're headquartered in Fort Washington, and they have 24 area locations all over the place. And TrueMark Financial knows how hard it is to win without proper coaching. And if you've got kids, TrueMark has the ultimate playbook for teaching financial responsibility with their free Green Light app. The Green Light app is awesome. It's changing the game, helping kids and teens learn how to earn, save, and spend their money wisely. They can set up savings goals, track their spending, and even get an allowance, all right there in the Green Light app. And here's the cool part. Each kid gets their own debit card, so they can make purchases and learn those real-world money skills, all while you stay in control of it right there from your phone. You get peace of mind, and they get the freedom to make smart decisions with their money. And, TrueMark Financial members get this for free. So consider it. With the holidays right around the corner, now is the perfect time to introduce your kids to Greenlight. Get signed up today. Go to truemark.com/greenlight for more information.
All right. Well, we heard from Jim Salisbury at the top of the show, just giving us updates from around the winter meetings. And now, as we're here on PHLY Phillies podcast, I want to take this opportunity to be able to share with you some of the latest from day one of the winter meetings. If you missed it on Sunday, because before we even talk about what the Phillies can realistically do and who they can target, I think it's good to reset the room for anybody that was spending their Sunday fun day engulfed in all the craziness around the NFL, the Eagles, watching football games, there was a lot of sports in general this weekend. Maybe you missed some of these news. So we're going to give you
the perfect Eagles day where they win, but yet people still get to complain.
Correct.
So Philadelphia is really having a day.
Philly sports fans love to be able to still complain about even a win.
Oh, nothing better than complaining about a win. It's the
where
best.
some history's made and Saquon Barkley breaks records. But because of that chaos yesterday, not only around the Eagles, but in general, there were some crazy sports games, basketball, football that happened. Here's all the things you may have missed around Major League Baseball. We talked about Juan Soto and his $765 million 15-year contract. I cannot see those numbers because it's like monopoly money at this point. It's not real money. And on top of that, I know Buster Only put out a post, and different articles or different reports have also put in perspective. It's about $305 million more than Shohei Ohtani's deal in present day value, because the present value of Ohtani's deal is $461 million. Yeah, well then with this deal that we just saw for Juan Soto, he's going to get a beautiful AAV of $51 million. He also turned down the Yankees' 16 years, $760 million deal, which was a $47.5 million AAV, the largest contract in sports history. Not to mention, outside of that $765 number, as we talked about, Jamie, yesterday, there also are some other contingencies and bonuses and things that would allow him in this contract that doesn't have any deferred money to get upwards of $800 million. So the Mets paid big. Some people feel like they overpaid. I've been seeing that across social media.
Well, I very much am in the camp of nobody is worth that. Like, I understand that the owners, have all the money in the world and can pay whatever they want, and there's no cap. No player to me is worth $800 million. Just not.
15 years, not to mention. Where is Juan Soto going to be in 15 years? That's
well,
a
it's
long
really funny.
time.
Year 11, there's a couple funny things that come from this signing. I guess the scary thing is he joins the NL East, but he's been in the NL East before, and it was fine. We survived. The Phillies won games, believe it or not, and life goes on. But the funny parts are, in year 11 of Soto's deal, Bobby Bonilla will officially stop getting paid by the New York Mets. So for the first 11 years of the 15-year deal, Bobby Bonilla and Juan Soto will both be receiving checks from the New York Mets.
Good job, Mets.
And then number two, it's really funny to see Yankees fans in absolute shambles.
Yes.
George Steinbrenner is probably rolling in his grave that the Yankees, the most, the highest valued team in sports in the world, lost out like a bunch of broke boys to the team from Queens.
Yep.
The Yankees fans are down bad. And as much as I hate the Mets, you love to see a Yankees fan down bad. Now, the other bad part of this is now the Yankees have a lot of money and need an outfielder as well. I would imagine they get Anthony Santander probably pretty quickly, is my guess on that. But now they're entering a market where the Phillies very much need help. So that kind of sucks. The Red Sox also thought they had a shot.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks. So everybody needs outfielders, and the Phillies are joining chum is in the water in the outfield market now, unfortunately. And the Phillies got to do something.
Well, that's the thing. Once teams are proposing offers of over $700 million and you get declined, that means you have that money to spend elsewhere. So the Yankees are a team. I know it's been reported, Bob Nightingale was reporting how Christian Walker is someone they're interested in for first base. They are also interested in a potential third baseman and sliding Jazz Chisholm Jr. to second base. They are looking at an outfielder, and they are also looking at starting pitching. Corbin Burnes has been one of those names that have been brought up for them. So they're definitely going to be spending, and if an Anthony Santander or other name is available, the Yankees clearly have the funds to spend it. The Red Sox were one that was heavily connected to like an Alex Bregman. Going to be interesting to see. There's some reports that they're now going to be prioritizing getting Bregman. Alex Bregman's actually expected to get like the second or third highest payout this offseason after Juan Soto. He's expected to be one of the higher numbers on the market at that $200 million that he's requesting. So now that Juan Soto's been signed, apparently some are expecting that the Yankees and the Red Sox are going to shift towards a guy like Alex Bregman as well. So he's someone to keep an eye on. Now, deals that we know that have been done.
Wait, do you want to hear some funny stats on the Soto deal?
Sure.
Just in terms of his money and how much he's going to make. Hold on, I just lost it. Okay, Juan Soto, and this is our friend's Philly Tailgate put this one out. Guess how much Juan Soto is going to make a day for the next 15 years?
Oh gosh, I don't even want to know.
Tyler, you got any guesses?
Day?
A day.
I would imagine it's upwards of $100,000 at least.
It's higher.
Oh my gosh.
130.
$139,000
just to wake up every
day. Now, Pat McAfee had a tweet last night where he broke it down by the hours.
Oh,
I don't know if I trust Pat McAfee's
I was just going to say, I'm not going to
I'm not
Pat
sure
McAfee
he knows
for
how
math.
to do
But
that
he busted
math,
out the calculator and showed his work. So
that's
so as
valid.
a teacher, you can actually see his work. He says that Juan Soto is going to make $5,902.78 an hour for the next 15 years.
Can I just make that for the month?
$5,900 an hour he's going to make for the next 15 years. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
$139,000 a day.
You guys don't make that in a year.
Holy hell.
You want to play a real quick game with that if you want to take it even
one
further?
really quickly, because I know somebody put out that Juan Soto's making more than the WNBA salary cap total for the next 30 years.
That
it's
tracks.
like a ridiculous the
tracks.
amount of comparisons I've seen, and it was people were saying compared to all the other sports, he's making more than entire
the White
leagues.
Sox, if they get rid of Luis Robert, I'm pretty sure the White Sox the entire team salary will be less than Juan
absolutely.
So the White Sox have
They're
never
at $74 million right now.
The White Sox have never given out a contract larger than Juan Soto's signing bonus.
Yeah, this is where we are financially.
By the way, you guys want to play a quick game with Juan Soto's money? You said the $5,900 an hour approximately. You guys ready for this? Hey, Juan Soto just made $1.63. Yep. He did it again. He did it again. He did it again.
Oh, $1.63 a second?
It's $1.63 a second.
$1.63 a second.
That's $5,900 an hour. Comes out to be about $1.63 a second.
So he pays for his lunch by existing for 3 seconds.
Correct.
Well, where are you getting lunch for $5,
for 10
bro?
seconds. 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
You can get a baller-ass lunch.
Say your famous line.
In this economy? Must be nice.
Yeah, so
it's
now
insane money.
People, when you go into negotiate any contracts, make sure you negotiate to get paid $1 per second.
Nobody is worth this.
No, that's the thing.
I know there's infinite money in the world.
I understand why people are saying they overpaid.
It's crazy.
For the Yankees, as you mentioned, to lose out to the Mets is is extremely ironic. But then for the Mets to have paid a ridiculous amount of money, that's insane numbers. And like you said, there's a reason why we don't see this contract in sports. There's a reason why this is record setting. I mean, 26 years old, you're talking about 15 years. So we're going into your 40s, and you're gonna still, and you're how do we predict that it's gonna even pan out that well? So I saw people making jokes of Juan Soto after 15 years with the Mets, and they still haven't won a World Series.
Yeah, well, that's funny. So who's the next happiest person in sports? Because the Ohtani contract kind of gets blown away with no deferrals and all that. Is it Bobby Witt Jr. that had the biggest smile in the world yesterday? Was it Adley Rutschman?
Yeah, there's some young ones that are licking their chops.
Is it Jackson
for sure.
Holiday? Who's the next happiest man in sports?
Well, Bobby Witt's already signed his deal. So
that's right. He
signed
signed
a
the
10-year deal.
That was good work by the Royals right there.
Yeah, they got him for about 25-ish a year.
That's great.
Jeez.
Well,
actually,
I'm sorry, I lied.
Bryce Harper's free right now.
It's one of those. It's one of those bell curve deals. So it's super cheap right now, and then it's $35 million for a couple years, and then there's some club options down the line for 28 to 30.
Man, oh man.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. These young stars that are coming up are going to be making a ton of money. Vlad Jr. has been brought up a couple times.
Gunnar Henderson.
Yeah.
Gunnar Henderson's probably the answer.
That's a good answer.
Of the guy that's closest, right? He didn't sign in. No, he hasn't signed an extension with the Orioles,
if they didn't
right?
sign if somebody messed around and did not
he's still in arbitration.
get the extension signed with these young talents, you're about to have to pay a lot of money.
Gunnar Henderson's arbitration estimate this year is somewhere between $800,000 and $1 million.
So Gunnar Henderson is officially the next happiest man in the world right now.
Well, he's pre-arb. He's still pre-arb. He's not arbitration until next year.
Probably don't want to wait.
They'll blow those years out.
Yeah,
if he plays well
they're probably not going to want to wait too much longer, but it's good to be Gunnar Henderson right now because that market just got flipped on its head thanks to Steve Cohen.
Oh, yeah. Well, the market also is in an interesting spot in general with Juan Soto off the board. We talked about the Red Sox. They're allegedly looking after and intending to pursue Teoscar Hernandez. And they're actually more interested in Teoscar Hernandez than in Anthony Santander. Then they're going after Max Fried and Corbin Burnes. Burnes, again, linked to the Red Sox and the Yankees. So there's a battle. I know Bob Nightingale is reporting for the Red Sox and Yankees to sign Max Fried or Corbin Burnes. So some other names that are looking to get paid, as they're also in themselves a bidding war. No one is going to get paid nearly the number that Juan Soto did with that, again, $765 million 15-year deal. But before we finish recapping
also,
some of the other...
I'm surprised the Mets gave him an opt-out.
Yeah.
Just worth noting.
He
5
probably,
years.
I guess he wanted that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna assume he
clearly wanted
that. There's no way they wanted that.
In case they turn into the Mets.
Yeah,
that's why I'm surprised that they gave it to him.
If the Mets met, he's out. So yeah, he's like very good business by Juan. Well done by Juan Soto and Scott Boras to have all the little contingency plans put in there. All right, before we talk about some of the other deals, because the numbers that we're sharing are insane, let's pause to talk to you about some of our friends here at PHLY. And that's a great spot. You can go HelloFresh to make sure you can get delicious food delivered to your door. And with HelloFresh, it is farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients, seasonal recipes delivered right to your front door. So you don't have to worry about heading to the grocery store. You don't have to worry about trying to figure out what to eat or if you have everything you need for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, because you can count on HelloFresh to make home cooking that much more easy, fun, and affordable. And that's also why they are America's #1 meal kit. I myself had a chance and have been fortunate to use HelloFresh and check them out firsthand and can say it's really cool what they give you. They give you all the options in bags. They give you the ingredients for the entire meal in a bag, and nothing has to be frozen. It all goes right in the refrigerator. They also give you the recipes. And then what I like about it is you can then choose, as someone, for example, that doesn't like cheese heavily, that maybe I don't put as much or cheese at all into
cheese.
my, okay,
Stop lying.
Put cheese into my meal. So it also gives you a chance to tinker with any recipes if needed, depending on what your preferences are. So I enjoyed that part about HelloFresh, and it's exactly as the name implies, giving you fresh farm fresh ingredients, and you don't have to worry about the little things. They gave you every seasoning, the carrots, the paprika, the mayonnaise, the vinegar. They give you all the ingredients that you need, all the vegetables that you need, so you can easily create and cook whatever meal you're looking for. And it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They also have some delicious add-ons and snacks and healthy options for you. You can easily customize your recipe so that each meal is just the way you like it. Plus, they have 100 add-on items. So desserts, quick breakfast, snack, lots of options for you that you can add on in addition to the meals that you're getting. And so with HelloFresh, it really just simplifies the process. And as they mentioned, they really do make it fun, because I enjoyed, and I like being able to try some different recipes. I feel like sometimes you get stuck in the same routine of cooking the same meals over and over and over again. With HelloFresh, they even opened my eyes to some different types of meals that I could cook. So when you want to take advantage of the deal yourself, we've got options for you as well. You can get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free Phillies, and that is applied across 7 boxes. So it's only for new subscribers. It does vary by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/free Phillies. And make sure you use that code free Phillies to take advantage of the deal with our friends over at HelloFresh today.
And it's the holidays. That means friends and family are going to be around. We're going to be watching the birds. Hopefully I can crack a Miller Lite tonight, because the Phillies do something awesome at the winter meetings. That's probably not going to happen, but I can still have a delicious cold Miller Lite. It's the original light beer since 1975, and to this day, it's still the best one. Why? Because Miller Lite didn't mess around. They nailed it in 1975, and it still tastes like the cold, refreshing, less filling Miller Lite that you know and love. They held on to what matters most and got rid of everything else that didn't matter. The original light beer since 1975. And you don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, head to MillerLite.com/PHLY Phillies, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
All right, welcome into PHLY Phillies podcast, as we are updating you on the latest around the winter meetings. Listen, things start off with a bang. It's the only excitement really going on in Dallas right now on the sports scene. Because there have been
is
some
that a Dallas sucks reference?
Yeah, that was.
It
Thank
does
you.
suck.
Sucks to suck, Dallas.
Yeah.
But what doesn't suck right now are the winter meetings. Now, there have been some other names that are off the board that we have to highlight, because some of these guys were players we talked about for the Phillies. I know Tyler O'Neill was brought up. The Baltimore Orioles made a couple of splashes.
Most likely to me.
I liked him for the Phillies. But Tyler O'Neill is no longer available, because the Orioles did sign Tyler O'Neill to a 3-year, $49.5 million deal. And that also has an opt-out opportunity following the 2025 season. So another opt-out. Scott Boras and his clients love an opt-out. O'Neill is going to be turning, he's 30 years old. He did have an injury-plagued season, but he was a great outfielder option that was available. No longer available anymore. And with the addition of Tyler O'Neill, the Orioles also added Gary Sanchez. He's a catcher, 1-year deal for the catcher with $8.5 million. So the Orioles making some splashes themselves, specifically with Tyler O'Neill, and also still reported to be going after some other names on the market as well that they've been connected to. So it has been connected. They've been connected to everybody's connected to Max Fried apparently, but
he's a really good pitcher.
He's a very good pitcher. But a Jack Flaherty also has been brought up. They're apparently not as interested in like a Sean Manaea or Nick Pivetta, but there are some other names. They do prefer a Nathan Eovaldi that they're prioritizing. So a lot of starting pitchers on the market that are heavily sought after. Another name that was brought off the board, and we're looking at you, Willy Adames, because another one that we thought was a good fit for the Phillies. So the Giants and Willy Adames agreed to a 7-year, $182 million contract. It does have the previous number for him was around 167. So the previous contract record number for the Giants was 167. So with this, Willy Adames actually sets a new record contract for the Giants at $182 million. They spent some money. The largest contract in their history, that $167 million deal, was back in 2013. So that's been long in the making to be broken. And so Adames, another one. The shortstop is off the board. So he does have a signing bonus of about $22 million. He's got it, now they just do all the logistics.
Yeah, the Giants have always talked about being big spenders. They always seem to come up just short a little bit. So now Matt Chapman and him have signed pretty big money, over 315 million or something combined for the left side of the infield. Yeah, I mean, those are probably the types of guys that San Fran has to hit on. They've clearly struck out on the Sotos and Harpers and big name players, and even Trey. I don't remember if they were linked to Trey Turner or not, but they seem to be linked to everyone. So this kind of sub tier of the higher echelon contracts is probably where they should live.
Yeah.
So it makes sense from that standpoint.
Yeah, as you mentioned, that $151 million extension for Matt Chapman for 6 years, and the $182 for Adames. That is a lot. That's about $333 million that they spent on those two guys alone. So the Giants are trying to spend some money to keep up. And then we talked about it on the emergency podcast we did yesterday around Juan Soto. But the Mets, in addition to Juan Soto, also agreed to a 3-year deal with Clay Holmes. We know Holmes had been requesting and seeking a starting role on the market. So the right-handed pitcher is headed to the Mets. And then we know some other names. Shane Bieber has been re-signed to the Guardians. So there's been a flurry of moves that were made. I will say, honestly, yesterday I got all the notifications coming in and was waiting. It was before Juan Soto that a lot of these moves were actually made. But they all started trickling in like 9 o'clock last night. We started getting all the updates around teams making moves. The last one I want to hit on, though, Dodgers. Michael Conforto has been signed to the Dodgers. The outfielder has agreed with a 1-year, $17 million deal. And the Dodgers have also been one that's been sneakily making some moves here and there because they also brought in Blake Trinan. I know Jim mentioned him earlier. They agreed with a 2-year, $22 million deal with Blake. So, teams are right now making some moves. We're just waiting for the Phillies. Don't worry, Phillies. We're watching. But it's early. There's no need to panic.
Yeah,
right?
I feel like their big splash is going to come with the bullpen arm. And I wonder how people are going to feel about that. If they get Devin Williams and like an average left fielder, do people consider that a successful offseason?
I would love
the temperature of the town.
I would love that. I'd be okay with that.
I mean
the hard part is, when you think about an outfielder, you're thinking about an everyday guy that you want to be. You don't want to bring in a potential, a platoon piece, a hope and see guy. You want to bring in a more exciting, quote unquote, outfielder option. But as we've talked about many times, there aren't many. The market has much more in terms of relievers, and even if you're looking for a fit starter. And so some of the relievers that the Phillies are one of the teams that have been connected to it. Obviously, re-signing Jeff Hoffman's already been put out there. I know Matt Gelb was sharing that update that the Phillies are still interested in bringing back Jeff Hoffman. But we talked about it. Outside of even Hoffman and Carlos Estevez, it's a Tanner Scott. It's Devin Williams. There's other names that I think would be.
John Morosi tweet from like 5 minutes before the show. He mentions Tanner Scott, Carlos Estevez, Jeff Hoffman, Kenley Jansen, Kirby Yates. There it is from John Morosi, like 5 minutes before our show. Jeff Hoffman and Kyle Finnegan are among the top names still available, and he mentions Blue Jays, Red Sox, Phillies, and Yankees. My fear is now that the Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Yankees all have funny money because they've mentally. I understand they're not Soto, and they're not spending that type of money. Not drawing a direct comparison, but they missed out on their guy.
Yeah.
And desperation is a stinky cologne. And they might throw some money around, and they'll probably all be able to outbid the Phillies if they really want a particular guy. So, let's see. It's going to be good. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. That's why I think it comes from a trade more than a free agency. I think the Phillies are more prone to upgrade the team via trade than they are free agents.
Yeah, and I do kind of feel the same way, and that's why I know I mentioned yesterday, if it did happen, I'd be fine with it, but I actually anticipate him taking some more time because it would most likely be a trade, in my opinion. I think this few days would be the time for the Phillies to have those face-to-face conversations about some trade proposals, but I don't see a trade getting done this quickly. If it does, again, great, love that. But I could see a smaller 1 year, 2 year free agency type of a signing.
Dombrowski's been active at the winter meetings in his past. So
he has.
I really do think trade is the way this team's going to upgrade. So we'll see.
Yes, and I know we talked about Roki Sasaki as another name as he's now been posted, and we've been watching and waiting to hear the official timeline of when he would be posted. It did happen prior to today's show, and so he has 45 days, a 45-day window that has now begun. So January 23rd is the deadline that teams have until to sign him. Roki Sasaki, I know it was tweeted out earlier today. He is expected to, and connected, I should say, to a number of teams. So the timeline for him is the expectation of January 15th to the 23rd. But the Padres, Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, Rays, Cubs, Dodgers, and Phillies were teams that were listed as in the mix. But as Jim mentioned, and as I'm strongly feeling, I think the Padres are 1,000% the front runner. I know people have asked us in the chat previously if the Phillies should go after Roki Sasaki.
Yes.
I think they actually should go after him. But realistically, with his connection to Yu Darvish and the ability to want to be the face of the club and help bring over more fans and that will follow the Padres. He didn't want to be in the shadow of Ohtani or Yamamoto with the Dodgers. So working alongside Yu Darvish, learning from him, and also being able to have more of an impact and a footprint in that sense with the Padres, I do see that actually making sense for him. So go after him, Phillies, but I don't know if realistically he'd have any interest in the Phillies over, the Padres, especially with the Darvish connection alone. So not sure who the Phillies can go after or who they're going to go after. We did hear Garrett Crochet rumors that he looks like he's going to be traded at some point during the winter meetings.
I feel
as
like
well.
the Mariners Bohm thing is going to happen.
Oh, gut feeling.
Yeah, just gut. I think it makes a lot of sense for both sides. So I think that's the trade that gets the ball rolling.
Okay. During winter meetings.
I think so, yeah.
I
have a vacation later this week, so I'm fully anticipating something big happening and being like, "Hey, Jamie, can you hop on an emergency pod?"
And you're like on the beach sipping from a coconut.
Yeah.
Like
I'm gonna be doing my Pernian tanning with a frosty drink in my hand. I'll be like, "Yeah, sure, I'll hop right on, guys."
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
so I fully expect that to happen. Yeah.
So hearing that Garrett Crochet's trade, I know John Morosi was reporting, is getting closer, and it's very possible he's going to be moved during the winter meetings, weirdly makes me less optimistic about the Phillies being the team that he moves to. There have been a number of teams, Yankees, Dodgers, Phillies, Mets, Orioles, Padres, Red Sox, linked to him, but I don't feel as confident about that one. Now, the Seattle deal, because of all the steam and traction we're hearing around Alec Bohm, if a trade were to happen quickly, I think it would be Alec Bohm. First of all, why continue to let this linger? if you have options and deals out there, including Alec Boehm, make the move. So yeah, if you want to manifest that while you're vacationing this week, since you're on the countdown,
I guess I'll bring
vacation,
my laptop in case I have to emergency pod it.
That would be great. That would be great.
Knowing you'll probably carry it just through the plane and TSA in your hands.
Yeah. I'm hoping
you're a sick person for that.
I'm hoping to just bring a backpack. That's my goal.
How long are you going for?
Wednesday to Sunday.
Nah, it's way too long.
That's what I said.
It's all short sleeve stuff.
Flip-flops and short sleeves is what he went with. Because I had the exact same conversation.
Maybe I'll go with the rolling case, but I'm hoping just backpack.
Yeah,
minimalism.
At least do the rolling case.
Minimalism.
I know some comments in the chat. Yes, I do like pizza. I saw that earlier from K-Red as you were asking very long ago. I didn't forget your question. I just wanted to circle back to it later. Larry is saying to make sure you have a banana daiquiri for him. Also, Andrew's mentioning.
So I don't like bananas, but anytime they're like deconstructed, I like the flavor.
That's how I feel about coconut.
I don't like the texture of bananas, but I like the flavor of bananas.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm in on that, Larry.
Andrew's mentioning Tommy Pham and then to go get Tanner Scott
Tommy
right
Pham
now.
you could have had for each of the last 3 years.
Yeah,
I feel like now you need to do better.
I agree. And then I know Pat Ryan's mentioning that the Phillies need hitters and you don't want to trade for Crochet.
Seiya Suzuki,
come
on,
get him.
The
guy can't throw to first base. Oh. I mean, I would like to get a...
Kyle Tucker? A little trade for Kyle Tucker? Maybe they signed Bregman today, and then the Astros are like, oh, we can't afford him. We got to trade Kyle Tucker now. Here you go, Philly. Take him. That'd
be
cool.
You think the Astros signed Bregman?
Apparently they want to.
Well, they offered him like $50 million less than what he wants.
Well.
So they're in some contract negotiations,
Things
I guess.
change. Desperation becomes real.
Maybe. And then they have to move on from Kyle Tucker. And sure.
And we'll take him
off your hands. I agree with you on that. So yes, now listen, haven't heard a lot from the Phillies right now. It's only Monday. Today, I feel like is a...
When's Renee's panic meter going to start going off? Tyler, what do we think?
Are
we going to have... Because I won't be here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Are we going to have pissed off Renee by Wednesday?
It's the holidays. Nothing can piss me off.
Are we going to have ticked off
You got
Phillies?
2.5 weeks still, Renee.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're gonna break by Wednesday.
So...
If they don't do anything, you'll break.
It's 16 days until Christmas. Nothing can make me upset. But if the Phillies don't make a move, no, I'm just kidding. I'm fine. Everything's fine. This is fine. I kind of expected this. I think this is what needs to happen. Like everybody, there were, all the conversation around Juan Soto. Okay, now that's done and over with. Now we all just marvel at the contract. Now teams start to shift their attention to others. And I think this is where the Phillies really are going to be just kind of lurking in the wings, behind the scenes, having their conversations in their suites, as Jim was talking about the setup and everything. And they're going to they don't want to make the big splashy, expensive move. They want to make the move that makes sense. So they're going more practical, more bargain hunting. So I'm okay. Everything's fine. I know, Eric, you're asking about a Verdugo or a Winker. I have seen some comments about like a Jesse Winker, for example. I don't know. I mean, Winker in New York was a much better version of Jesse Winker, I thought. But he's one that...
I don't want to just based on vibes and name alone. I'm out.
I was going to say he actually was one that had some decent stretches of the season. Again, he was on my fantasy team at one point, but he was very up and down and very inconsistent. And for that reason, I wouldn't want him. I don't think they need another inconsistent guy like that. You need someone that's going to at least be able to be, 75% of the games. We know what we're going to get from you. All right. So that being said, as we are, continuing to follow the winter meetings, we also are continuing with some trivia, because that is something that we know for a fact will torture us. Don't know if the Phillies are going to torture us this offseason too much. Hopefully they'll be doing some good things, but one thing's for certain, two things for sure. Tyler Zulli's torture chamber will continue. So let's get into our random Phillies trivia of the day with our four hints.
And I will say this, Renee, the next couple of days, it's going to be me and you, or Jamie and I, and I'm going to be on the other side of this. So we'll see how easy it actually is.
How is that going to work?
No. We're going to have whoever's doing the show. We'll make them.
Oh, good.
So we'll see how easy. I know the answers, right? So we'll see how much it.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to get tortured.
This will be fun. Yeah. All right. Here's your
Finally, tables turn.
Here's your first guess. No, by the way, I did not get a chance to talk to my father about this one, so he does not know this one heading into it. But here is your player. As soon as I can figure out how to get your cameras up.
Oh, it's not working, so it's okay. Just kidding. All right. First hint is it's a 10-year veteran that played with 6 different teams. 6 different teams in 10 years.
So he got
Big
the perks.
guy.
He got the perks. 6 different
He
teams.
looks like he's throwing, like a pitcher. But he's kind of, the silhouette's a little bit whitish. You know, I'm the silhouette queen. I'm gonna go with a.
I'll move you. You get the whole.
Thank you. I need to see the waist and
the
everything.
whole
yeah, like
shot.
Bigger looking jersey size. So I'm gonna go with like a wide body. Since he's a little tall, approximately 6'2", 6'3". No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I have no idea how tall this guy is.
I'm just kidding. Neither do I.
I have bullpen arm in
journeyman?
my mind for some reason.
Oh, Larry saying looks like a Joe Blanton.
It's not a bad guess. He's kind of square.
His head is very.
I think there's facial hair involved there.
You think that's a beard?
Maybe.
Oh, there's a couple of Joe. He does give me some Joe Blanton vibes. You know what? I'm going to pull the trigger early because the chat I've seen a couple of times, and why not give a guess in? I'm going to say it's Joe.
It's not a bad guess, but Joe Blanton played for 13 years with 7 teams.
Dang it. That was so
it's
close,
not Joe
guys.
Blanton.
10-year vet,
Dang.
6 teams. I just feel like it's a bullpen arm. Who was the guy that ran in where JT Realmuto rolled his eyes?
Oh, yeah. His name is a J?
It's an excellent guess. It is Jared Hughes.
Jared Hughes.
Also not correct.
Oh, that was a great guess, Jamie, because it does kind of look like his build.
All right, what's it? Number 2.
That bless you. That still lives rent free in my head. That was hilarious. Okay, in 2005, he was an all-star, and he was the lone representative for his team in 05. So, in 05, if that team was not the Phillies, then in 05, he was not with the Phillies. He was with one of his other 5 teams.
2005 all-star.
Oh.
So it's an... Ricky Bottalico.
It is not Ricky Bottalico. He was the Phillies representative in '96, I believe, but it is not Ricky Bottalico.
All right. That was a bad guess.
I
I was trying to think of lone... He probably wasn't even an all-star as a Philly.
Ricky's final year in the league was 2005.
Yeah.
And he was with Milwaukee at that time.
JC Romero came across my mind, K-Red, but I think that's a righty, not a lefty, but it could be JC.
He kind of looks like a righty.
But 2005 would... I don't think JC Romero was a...
So K-Red's truly just
all-star
guessing
in
JC.
2005.
Pat Ryan saying
I don't know
Billy
crap.
Wagner. Kyle Schubert is saying from DJ, a.k.a. Mr. Sandman. Listen, guess away. Guess away.
It's not the Grinch.
I was watching The Grinch this weekend. I don't know. Is this a pitcher? Can we confirm that this is a pitcher?
You know, most of the time I don't give you that hint, but I don't think there's an outstanding giveaway hint in this one, so I will tell you it is in fact a pitcher.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's thank you. Just thank you. I'll just say with thank you.
Like you know how the fourth one's usually kind of like the dead giveaway hint?
Yeah,
I didn't have any
something.
crazy
Okay.
cool story about he didn't have 6 fingers.
Okay.
He didn't start a fight with a Dubre Ramos throwing balls at guys' heads.
Well, I'm gonna go on. I think I'm gonna need to move on to the next one.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next one.
Traded to the LA Dodgers in 06 for Edwin Jackson. 06 Dodgers.
He was not traded by the Phillies to the Dodgers, obviously. Edwin Jackson never pitched. Despite the fact that Edwin Jackson pitched for just about every team in baseball, he did not ever pitch for the Phillies.
Oh. Traded to...
This is really difficult.
This is one of the harder ones, yes.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
He was also at one point in his career traded for Wilson Betemit. Doesn't really help too much, but in fact, the Dodgers said, "Nah, we're good at the deadline" after acquiring him in the offseason.
So, John Beezer say how you blocked out the dark ages. Yes, that is part of the problem. Tyler does always pick the dark ages, guys, that we do not remember.
Chad is equally, I think, is struggling as much as we are.
This is like
here.
a tough one today.
Dodgers 06 pitcher. AJ Burnett. No, I have no idea. That's a bad guess. Yes, everybody that was watching on TV, whether it be Samsung, Xfinity, Roku, we appreciate you all. If you want to continue playing with us and find out the answer to this torture chamber, you can follow us at allphly.com. Oh, that's a good random guess there. Pat Ryan.
Another guy who played for seemingly every team in baseball except the Phillies was Octavio Dotel, who was an amazing immaculate grid guess, by the way, because he played for everybody.
All right, I'm going to need the
I'm going to go Danis Gonzalez.
I think you might have two players combined.
I mean, Baez. Excuse me. Sorry.
You going Danny's Baez?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Woo!
Yeah, Danny's Baez was a absolute
I had to do some serious digging.
Pull from this one. Probably the most difficult one. Yeah, he made 80 appearances in 2010 and 11 for the Phillies before they released him in August of 2011.
That fourth hint wouldn't even have helped me.
No.
So, yeah, that was a tough one.
The final hint was made 80 appearances for the Phillies in 2010 and 2011 before being cut. Like, what? How, Tyler?
It's kind of the point of this game, is it not?
Man. Well, we got another one, guys. I got another one. I finally got one. Oh. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on that note. We've got winter meeting updates coming your way. Jim is continuing to follow everything down in Dallas. He'll be dropping pieces that you can check out the latest. We'll also have him joining us on the show. We'll be live every day, 11 a.m., giving updates. If anything breaks for the Phillies, any breaking news, we will be having an emergency podcast coming your way. And Baez was our trivia guy for the day that Tyler tortured us through. So for Tyler, Jamie, myself, Renee, and our buddy Jim down in Dallas, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of PHLY Phillies podcast. Always a pleasure to kick off our day with you. We look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow, 11 a.m., live for more updates around the winter meetings and specifically, hopefully, fingers crossed, the Phillies. See you guys next time. Have a miraculous, marvelous, magnificent Monday. Bye, guys.
We all silly like the mayor.